Okay then guys, so welcome back on the show today. We are catching a band that's right at the start of their journey through all this suffering. Their debut single Oblivion dropped on the 1st of February, and rather than sitting back, they're already pushing forward. Not only is the track out now to the world, but the band have just announced 20 minutes ago, in fact, prior to this recording, that they are actively building their full live lineup with plans to expand this project into a multi-track release and taking it to the stage later on this year. So this feels like a really good ground floor moment. The sound is forming, the vision is clear, and the next chapter is being written in real time. So let's get right into it, guys. Now I am chatting with Through All This Suffering. So gents, Dan, Rob, thank you very much for joining me. So, congratulations on the release, guys. Oblivion is now officially out. How does it feel starting that first release out in the wild rather than it just living as a demo or an idea?
You know what? I think considering this project's been in kind of the works for, I would say, probably 5 years, to have it finally up and out is it's like a real full circle moment for us. I think we've been working together for probably 20 years. In fact, it is 20 years this year,
Yeah.
and we had another project that we were focusing on primarily before, which has just recently come to an end. So we thought, what better time now to really push for this, and we're so proud of what we've achieved so far. So yeah, it's been amazing.
Yeah, we just I feel like we learned so much from the last band we were in because we're both sort of coming back to doing music after a long time off. So we've like learned so much about how to distribute music and stuff. Where before like it was quite different when we were active before. So it's been like a learning experience, and we from our other band we learned so much, and yeah, it's really transferred over to this band and made us have such a successful launch, I think.
As Robert said, we kind of came back to it after quite a long period of time off, and the scene and the way the industry works now is so different to what it was like 10, 15 years ago. And having to kind of learn, you feel like a little fish in a massive pond because you're having to relearn everything all from scratch. And yeah, but that's also been a really fun experience at the same time.
Okay, yeah. So taking all of that into perspective, then looking at it as a retrospect. So looking back at the writing and recording of Oblivion, what does that track represent for you as a starting point?
So we sort of had because we sort of came out of our previous band and we had like a sort of vision where we were going like we were in this like universe within that stuff, and when we left we were sort of still sort of in that universe to some extent. So it's almost as if it's I'm trying to think what the right word for it is, like an anthological thing. It's like come out of this universe of a sort of like sci-fi space kind of vibe. And yeah, it's sort of a conceptual EP about a destruction of the Earth due to an extinction event, but we're going at it from like a cultist point of view. So it's got a really cool story which we're going to expand upon as the releases come out. But we just both like really fell back in love with storytelling, and straight away from coming out of our other band, we were like just pushing so many ideas already in that band that we needed an outlet. And then once this was done, we already had so much ready that we just literally hit the ground running. I think of 2 to 3 weeks until we got back doing music again. So yeah, very quick turnaround.
Yeah, and I think from a musical point of view, as Rob said, like it's all about telling stories. So the way that I've always seen this is that the riffs and the songs that we write and the choruses that we use, the melody along with the heavy is kind of to build a foundation. A lot of the inspiration that I take from writing music is actually from like sci-fi novels like Dune and Foundation. And you want to create a kind of a huge expansive universe and lay that landscape out for then Rob to put that human story over the top. And that for me is something that's just been so fun in this whole process. And I think the fact that, as Rob said, we managed to get this done ready to a point in kind of 3 or 4 weeks is kind of testament to how much we love telling those stories.
Nice. Okay, so I've got to ask then, why was Oblivion the right choice to introduce through all this suffering to the world?
That's a good question.
I think I've got a good
I
answer for this to some extent.
Yeah, you go
I,
for it, man.
I just think it's really weird. So me and Dan have like never wrote like really this structured of a song before. We're not normally like a sort of verse chorusy person or like group, sorry. And yeah, when Dan presented to me, I was like, this is really, really technical, but it's also really linear compared to something we did. And like when I wrote the chorus, I was like, this is like a hooky chorus. It for me, it was like so different than what we normally do. It's like we wrote like a really well structured radio friendly song with like, well, to some extent, and with like a big hook in it. I just felt it was like such a single straight out the bat. Like it just it just sounds like a properly well structured single song. You can listen to it. It's not too long and it's got all the goodness in there.
Yeah, I think to build on that, it really serves as a mission statement as to everything that we stand for as a band and as musicians. It's something that kind of showcases everything that we've always wanted to put into our music that we probably haven't had to do before. And as Rob said, we've done it. When we listened to it back for the first time once it was done, I think the structure of it and everything just kind of lends to its appeal to us as musicians, but we also feel like to the audience as listeners as well. So we feel like it's a real good way to kind of put our name, put our stamp on it and say, this is us, this is what we're all about. And if you like it, then we've got a lot more to come.
Well, let's talk a little bit more then in that case about what it is for you guys. So you've described this as a focused writing driven project. What does that mean to you in practice?
So I think for me, one of the big things for me that I love is just collaborating with other artists and seeing what talent is out there. And I think the best thing for any band is you can stagnate on the same songs that you release, and you can maybe do like one release a year. But I think that to have that continuous improvement to carry on telling those stories, is really really important in terms of an artist. So for me, constantly writing new stuff. It doesn't necessarily have to be ready for release necessarily, but in order to build that landscape and to build those stories, it just helps to piece the whole universe and landscape that we're trying to build together, and it just helps bring the concept to life. Um, so yeah, for me, that's what it means to me. I don't know, Rob, about you.
Yeah, I think for me, it just gives a chance to like sort of for us who've been in like the music scene for a while to like grow as artists. It's like we're very different people and the scene's very different than when we started. And like it's easy to get sort of like trapped in like what the scene was musically compared to what it is now. And I think when we released this song, it's like I kept seeing the buzzword going around of like modern metal, and you see it with like Architects of Bring Me Horizon, very much the era of music we was. They like were on the scene when we were doing it, and how it's evolved. And for me, it's just like I just want to push myself more vocally, and like Dan always gives me these soundscapes to like expand to be more than like though though it's still mostly harsh vocals. It's like I try and convey where they blend. I what I'm big inspiration at Sam Carter from Architects to get that thing where it's like you sort of listen, you're like, is he screaming or singing? Like what's going on? And everything is like blending within each other. So I just want to push myself vocally more and just expand and try and create something that's like a right on the edge of like whether it's a heavy song or it's a melodic song vocally.
I think that's a really good point as well. It being able to constantly collaborate really gives us a chance to experiment so we can push the boundaries of what the current metal sound is. Whilst it's an established sound, and I think there's probably other bands that do sound like us, it gives us the opportunity to put our own unique twist on it. And the only way you're going to be able to do that is by constantly experimenting. So, we hope that throughout the next releases, throughout our first kind of EP album, that we can throw lots of different aspects into it so that it's familiar, but it's unique enough to draw the attention of the people that want to hear it.
What's happening with the different aspects then? So lyrically and emotionally, what themes are you hoping that listeners are going to connect with when they hear your music for the first time?
So for me, it's like I hear songs and I always end up liking. It's really random, but I always end up liking songs more when I learn like the words and I learn like the patterns and sort of how it's done. And especially in screaming, it's very easy to like not convey emotion in it and just have like those like highs and lows and like really heavy, and it's just different ways of it. And someone who reviewed one of our previous works in a different project was saying it's like desperation screams. I quite like that line of where you can feel the emotion in it. So I'm hoping like I feel like I put like quite a lot of vocal clarity in it, and I hope like people will be like, oh, what's it saying? And then like expand on listening to it and being like, oh, it's not just like this random screamy song that's about like killing someone or whatever, like the sort of deathcore phases, and it's more like, oh, there's actually a story here, and if I connect them all together, it's like a sort of lore-based thing. There's a lot more going on, and sometimes it can be hard to like put that effort into something when you're like, oh, we're a small band, people ain't going to read it, but the chance that one person reads it and then expands on it, like, oh, there's a lot of stuff going on here. That's what sort of inspires me to put more emotion and context behind everything I do. Because with Dan saying about sci-fi, it's just I'm a big movie fan, and I like to sort of like think of like when I'm writing, trying to write like it's a section of a movie, and like with this one, the EPs are sort of a little series. And you listen to it, and yeah, you can find out where the story is. Here's the beginning, here's the end, and that's how we got there.
Yeah, and I think as well, it's whilst the stories are kind of based in, like a not a fantasy world, but in a we tell pretty cool stories, but it's all based on kind of lived experience. We shared this when we first did our kind of like promo photos and posts that we did on Instagram. We A lot of our music, whilst in the lyrics, whilst they are story based, they are primarily built on lived experiences that we've had over the last 20 years together. So we share that emotional connection. So whilst the story may not be real, the emotion behind it and the feeling behind it is. And that's something I think that's really important to both of us.
And it's beautiful that both the imagery that you've provided through your social posts as well as the lyrics that you provided in Oblivion, it's clear that they do go hand to hand. How important was it for you guys to establish that clear identity with the debut, even before thinking about like live shows, etc.?
I think that's possibly the most important thing for any, especially for us, but I think for any band, to be able to have that clear sense of identity really helps to, because you can listen to some bands and like you say, the imagery doesn't necessarily go with the music. You say everything, well, I don't quite get it. But for us, I think it was really, really important that we, again, like I said, portrayed that clear sense of purpose, that clear focus. We wanted to put that message across really early on so that people knew that there was something to be excited about behind us. And then we would then translate that into a live show further down the line. So yeah, that was really important for me from the get-go.
Okay, so let's talk about the big drop. So, like I said to you guys, listeners, 20 minutes prior to this interview being done, these guys put out a call out for a second guitarist, a bassist, and a drummer. What, for you guys, what made now being the right time to complete that lineup publicly?
So it's always been in the pipeline to get it off the ground, but we got expired so much over like I said, this project's been going a while, and we've like had so many different like styles and stuff we were going to do, and then when we came out this time, it's like the purpose was right there, and we were just coming off a successful year playing live music with another band, so we both sort of wanted to come out and like we're like right we got back on the scene, like we know what we're doing now, we know how to network, like we know how this modern thing is working, we've like done so much for our other project that now if we go out on our own, like we already know we know how to push a band now. And I feel like if anyone joins the band, it's like there's so much room to like be creative in here. It's an open creative space, and like I said, we've had such great feedback from people who listen to it, and like people try and book us gigs. We've got like so much interest off this one track. It's absolutely insane. So like I think if anyone was like looking to join, it's going to be one of those things where it's like you join and the wheels are rolling. You're not sitting and stagnating and waiting for things to happen. Like we already got opportunities, and we want people to join on board and help finish this CD that we're doing. Like collaborate with us, really. Dan?
Yeah, no, and I totally agree with that. And I think that it also gives us time, right? So
Yeah.
we've got kind of our flagship piece already out there. It now gives us the time to say, look, this is something that we've got. There can be more of this. We want people to come and join us on that journey. As Rob said, we're very open to collaboration. We want people to have their own input into things, and it's just great to get other people's different perspectives on, on that creative process. So alongside that, it also gives us time to really build a really tight live show and get everything all lined up so that when we do actually go live, it's already a spectacle there, which is what we want to do. We want to come across as as serious contenders in the scene, and I think the only way to do that is to try and get this done early so that we can really refine what we're doing by the time we get to live shows, towards like the middle or end of the year.
You've already mentioned plans for a first multi-track release as well. Are you already writing that with that in mind, or are you letting things evolve naturally?
So I'm constantly jamming and writing. So I will always have like a bank of stuff that I'm ready to throw out there. So there may be just demo ideas, there may be just riffs, it could be whole songs. So I think for me, it's kind of, we want to make sure that the sound that we've already established is consistent throughout, whilst trying to experiment with other styles. So people know that we're not just asking people to come in and write for us, because that's not the whole point. Equally, I don't want to turn around and say, I've written it all. Here's your play by numbers track that I want you to do exactly as is. So I think to have a kind of library of ideas that can then be helped to evolve naturally through other members and other input into that creative process will be really, really helpful. So yeah, it's a constant thing that I'm doing and Rob's doing, and it'd be great to have other people in there that can help contribute to that.
Well, 2026 already feels like as though it's going to be a hell of a building year for you guys. Where would you love to see through all this suffering by the end of it?
I was gonna say for me, I want to. I'm. It's wishful thinking because like obviously it's like we need to find musicians who can play the stuff as well because it's relatively technical. But for me, just have the EP or whatever we decide to do finished and an established band of like just good people that enjoy doing music and want to get creative. Because like I feel once we have the things to get going, it's like me and Dan ourselves can get the ball rolling pretty quick. We're like I said, we've had a lot of offers, so I think by the end of the year, I think just aim for the end of the year for some shows, like depending on the band, and then next year probably I think like festival scene because we played a festival last year and it's really good and we've made some connections through that. So we just I think like Dan said, focus writing for now and establishing members and then see where we're at the end of the year. But I'd like to finish the year starting with the live shows really. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be the same. I'm going to be a little bit more ambitious and say that I want to be applying for the festival scene next year. I would love to play somewhere. Yeah, I'd love to play somewhere. You know, like Camden Underworld again. We played that venue, a few years. I say a few years back. It was quite a long time ago now. But to get into the more established venues in especially the London scene, I think would be phenomenal for us. So I'd like to kind of go for those mid-range venues by the end of the year, hopefully looking to go to this festival circuit next year.
Well, I, for one, will be listening to you guys with the greatest of interest. So thank you guys. A massive thanks to Through All This Suffering for joining us this evening. Their debut single, Oblivion, is out now. And this really feels like the opening move of a much bigger plan. They're actively completing the lineup, guys, writing towards their first multi-track release and setting their sights on live shows later this year. So if you're a musician looking for a serious writing-driven project, this might be your moment. Check them out on their socials. Keep an eye on them, on what they're building. And right now, we're going to leave you with Oblivion by Through All This Suffering. And as always, guys, if you ain't headbanging yet, what the hell are you even doing?